I keep having nightmares lately. The kind that I'm not sure if they scare me or if they're just. They're not comforting. They leave me waking up with the feeling of just supreme dread. Like, I fear for a good hour or so after waking up whenever I have one of these. It all started a few months back as I started work on this maid video. Just because I had to. I'm pretty sure it's just a tertiary factor, because I've scraped the inner recesses of my mind for this video. Now, I hope that comes across in the final product, which, if you're wondering why I've uploaded 2 of these in a row, it's because that project is looking to be nearly 2 hours in length. And my brain won't allow me to cut it up because it all flows as one holistic work very well, so hopefully you guys don't mind waiting on that just a little bit longer. But back to the point. The first nightmare that really started this chain of events introduced a character I lovingly refer to, or maybe not lovingly, but just refer to as Nanaya Sleepy. Now, this is gonna sound fucking made up, I realize when I tell you about it, but it is 100% genuine, and it terrified me. You're gonna see why it's called Nanaya Sleepy in a bit. So this dream, I had woken up out of bed. It was in this weird house. I keep having dreams about this one house. It's like in the middle of the woods. It's in the middle of the woods, and there's a dirt road out in front of it that you can walk down for hours and hours and still be in the middle of the forest. This house. I woke up. It was like a duplex. I woke up in the middle of this house. And I just start walking around. The interior is shaped like my grandma's house or my Nana's house when she was around. The interior is shaped just like that. I'm just walking around it, walking around these empty rooms and halls, just wondering where the fuck I am. When out of nowhere, a voice starts going off in my head. And it's scary. Like, I know they say having voices in your head is like a thing insane people can experience, and it's something that happens in the history route. So I'm thinking that's what cued it in, because that was what I was honing in on. It was back when I was reading it and really fucking thinking about it over and over again. I just listened to this voice, and it was telling me insane shit like, life was different after I met him. Life changed forever. Just go out and do it. Go out. So, some Roa type stuff. The voice gradually gets louder and louder, just egging me on to give in to my own, or give in to these horrible, horrible things. And to meet this person, this thing. So eventually I start running around the house to avoid it, just in circles. But the voice, it's in my head. It's not like it's going to go anywhere. But I just keep running and running and running until I run out of the house. I start running down the dirt road. And I just ran for what feels like hours. Just dead of the night, down this dirt road, trees surrounding me on either side. And I just keep running and running. There seems to be no end to the trees, but once day finally starts breaking and the voice has worn down my own sanity to nothing, I see this large structure. I'm in the middle of a city suddenly, and this large structure stands in front of me with scaffolding all around it, and it starts snowing. There's a snowstorm outside, which oddly enough, as I say this, there's about to be a snowstorm going on, but I started walking up the scaffolding, and it's weird, the minute I started walking up the scaffolding, the voice stopped. I guess I was doing what it wanted. So I started walking up this tower, this big towering place, and it took me just a few minutes of walking until the voice came back, said, "Things were different after I met him. Things were so better." It's not a good impersonation. The voice was very gruff and just like a gruff old man's voice. It was weird. It was weird. I finished walking up the tower, up this big ass building. And at the top of the scaffolding, The figure I see is myself, caked in blood, holding a knife, just looking out into the sky, looking up towards the direction of the sun, which was just rising at the time. And for whatever reason, this had a profound effect on me in the dream. I ran up to the figure of myself and didn't even care about the blood or anything surrounding him. I just hugged myself and started saying over and over again that it was going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I don't know why I did that. And soon after that, I woke up. This dream, you see, it's not necessarily that it's scary, it's just that it mortifies me for the next few hours after I wake up. I still think about this dream to this day, and I remember every detail vividly as the night I had it. It's one of those dreams that sticks with you no matter what you do. And Nanaya Sleepy, as I refer to him, that figure caked in blood that is myself, is a figure that's shown up in my dreams from time to time ever since. You know, just typically not even talking, not even doing anything, he's just there looking at me menacingly. And it's just weird nonsense like that keeps getting into my mind as I edit and write the script. The script is written at this point. I've gone into some weird esoteric nonsense here or there. It's just recorded off-the-cuff stuff to incorporate into the video. I don't even know if it's going to be incorporated, but I just keep getting these urges to include stuff as I keep thinking about it again and again. I keep going out on these walks in the dead of night just to think about it and get this idea like, ooh, that'll be cool. That'll be neat. Or, ooh, shit, that's a good point, me. And every time I do that, I end up coming back inside, and that night when I go to sleep, I have another nightmare like that. It's weird nonsense. The reason I'm on this tangent is the one I had last night. It's another strange one. I had a dream. I just woke up in my bed. All of these dreams, all of these nightmares start with me waking up from bed for whatever reason. Just start with me waking up. And who should come into my room but Satsuki Yumi fucking Zuka. And this one's a short dream. She hops into my bed, looks at me, just really looks deep into my eyes, just closely, and puts her face right next to mine, goes down to my neck and just fucking drains me, drinks my blood, until I am nothing. That's either a wet dream or terrifying depending on your preference. For me, mixture of both. Another dream I had, and this one's a bit more meaty, as to be expected. This one's just a bit more meaty. I should note, this one happened when I was napping. I was napping during the day, and it could have been a sleep paralysis demon. I wake up, can't move my body, anything. I can only look around at my room with color-changing lights. These lights are barreling down at me, just changing my mental state, changing the way I perceive things. And, a Kohaku-esque figure walks into my room, just sits at my bedside, and fucking fluoride stares at me, just for hours. Tsukihime brain not is real, holy shit. These dreams, they're getting to me, man. They're getting to me. Oh, fuck. I mean, I suppose it's good to get those dreams out there, though. To get them out of the head. Something like that. Hopefully I can just get this maid video done soon before my mind deteriorates more. Hopefully I stop having ideas to put into it, which I'm not going to stop having the ideas if I can, because I think they're legitimately good ideas. But at the same time, those nightmares, not fun, not fun. It's gotten to a point where I don't even look at them as mortifying, I just view them as strange. I just view them as weird to have. I have no fucking idea what Kara no Shoujo is about. Now, I've been using the music in my videos since last August, as it was just recommended to me by one of my peers on Twitter. I adore this soundtrack, though. Every inch of it I have listened to again and again, and as evidenced by my frequent usage of it, that's not a trend that's going to stop anytime soon. Yet despite this, I have not looked up a single detail about Kara no Shoujo. I don't know the premise. I don't know anything about it. I know it's probably about girls, just because of Shoujo. But other than that, I do not know a single thing. And this has led to a strange effect where I kinda dread learning anything about it. I was once perusing the hentai aisles on fucking Hanime, I think, when I came across this thing called Kara no Shoujo, and I almost clicked on it. I almost clicked on it before I thought about, I don't know a single thing about Kara no Shoujo. This is probably not the best introduction to it, because, hentai adaptations, typically one episode, typically not the best. There can be good exceptions to it. Bible Black is excellent, though I'm not even sure if that's an adaptation. But semantics. I almost clicked on it, and that is the only exposure I've had to Kara no Shoujo, is seeing a thumbnail for it. And of course, the music, which I adore. J'adore Kara no Shoujo OST. This has led to a weird dilemma where I don't want to find out anything about it, because I feel like that would ruin the illusion I've crafted to myself, because in my mind, Kara no Shoujo is this grand story. It has to match the soundtrack in my head, so I'm picturing this just chapels, towering chapels, and it's a story that is just very emotionally gripping and makes you really contemplate life by the end of it. I know that's a vague generalization of a story, but it's honestly the best I got in my head, because that's what the soundtrack gives off to me. It's a very emotional soundtrack. It gets those cogs working in my brain, and that's why I insert it into my videos all the time, because it elicits emotions from me, and I want to elicit the same emotions in the viewer when I get to those sections of the video. Should I finally buckle down and read Kara no Shoujo? That is the question I've had to myself. I've read all the question arcs of Higurashi as of speaking this, and hopefully sometime soon I will have a video out about my theories about that, but that has freed up a slot in my visual novel hole. Can either read Kara no Shoujo or finish Euphoria, I guess, of which I have still only read the Rika route. But that's okay, because the Rika route is pretty good. Don't undersell it, you fools. You buffoons. I guess my thing is, I don't even want to read a premise. I don't want to know a single fucking thing about it. I just want to dive in and experience something blindly. Experience something without being tainted again. Last time I had that experience was with Tsukihime, and my god, what a beautiful experience that was. Reading those early type moonworks, because I started with Fate Stay Night, of course. Going into those blind, I could not recommend experiencing them any other way. So experiencing them blind, it was this surreal experience. My eyes were opened up to what storytelling could really achieve. As cliche as that fucking is, that's how I felt, because those stories, they tend to get lost in the details. Well, that's just a general flavor with Nasu's writing. He tends to get lost in the details, really muddled, really over-expository, but the minute the veneer is peeled back and just a simple line is stated, like in Kara no Kyokai, something like, I was here, in the 5th movie, everyone talks about that because it's the moment in the movie everything was peeled back, all the build-up was led up to it, and people were like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. It's the same reason the rain scene in Heaven's Feel hits so hard. The same reason Archer's smile at the end of UBW hits so hard. The same reason all the endings of Tsukihime work so well. It's because it's a simplistic moment that had all this wonderful build-up, because really, having an overly verbose ending wouldn't feel satisfying in that sense. You've had all this build-up, all this lead-in, and to just keep expositing on top of that would not a cohesive story make. It would just feel like it's still building up to something. So it's taught me a lot about my own writings. And I've tried to slowly apply that to my videos as of late. Again, keep arcing back to it. Hopefully that'll be evident in the made video. I'm recording these in segments, by the way. I recorded the one you heard yesterday immediately after waking up from a banger of a nap, but also a scary nap. But I just figured I'd record this throughout the week, sporadically, as I have thoughts. Really going into that decompression chamber vibes. That is the sound of a can of lime-flavored sparkling water opening up, which I've taken an acute interest in as of late. It's just so good. Sparkling water, it's immaculate. It's good stuff. I'm not here to talk about sparkling water. No, I'm here to talk about my writing process, how it's evolved between the videos I've made. So way back when, during the Ilia analysis videos I was making, the process I had for those, it's a bit different than the one I have now, actually. But essentially what I was doing back then was taking a ton of notes, just notes after notes after notes after notes. I believe at the end of the day, after it was all said and done, I had like 30-40 pages of notes that I just adhered to strictly. And what I did with those notes was I would convert them into a script afterwards. So that's why, if anything in those videos feels oddly robotic, like it's just listing off points, I listen to those videos back, and that's the way it comes across to me. As the conversion process, it was not a smooth one, to say the least. It was a bit all over the place, honestly. As those videos progressed, by the time you get to the Heavensfield video, I had started to want to get a narrative through line, try to just analyze the work and show how it progresses from the start to the end, instead of taking particular points and saying, hey, this is why this is pretty neat. Of course, there's still a lot of that in that video, but a bit too much of it, honestly. But it's at that point that I wanted to start communicating a point. And that point was essentially just expositing why that story impacted me the way it did through the subject matter. Now, it never actually got around to explaining why it was impactful to me in particular, just that it was, blanket statement, impactful. I would later go on to express those thoughts after Heavensfield 3 came out. Thoughts that I couldn't necessarily put into words, but damn it if I didn't try my damnedest. But that Heavensfield 3 video, it inspired me to take a new approach with my writing process from then on out. The Akia video, the first in the Tsukihime analysis, kind of had the same tonings and stylings as the Ilia analysis videos, wherein I took a bunch of notes as I read through the routes, and then converted those notes, those just text block, multiple pages full of notes, and converted it into a script. This process, it's tedious. It is, you have to erase all the just overly expository bits, all of the stuff that doesn't necessarily flow cohesively. Like, you can erase entire points that you're on just because it doesn't flow, it doesn't web into the overall video, to the overall point of the video. You know, as that video progressed, I started asking myself, because this was an intensive process, and I felt like I got a lot of good points out of it, but I did eventually have to ask myself, this is taking for fucking ever. There has to be an easier way to do this, right? And lo and behold, there was. And funnily enough, I stumbled across it as I was doing the Satsuki video. Because honestly, that video, as I said in the beginning, in the opening lines, it spurned out of a desire to write about her just because I thought she was so fucking cute in the manga. So what I did for that was I just read the opening bits of Tsukihime of the Akia route again, the parts with Satsuki. Just read every scene with her that I could. Dabbled a bit into the maid routes to read the scenes there. And then looked at the panels in the manga again and again, because they're fucking adorable, man. I took a bunch of notes. I did take a bunch of notes again, but instead of converting those into a script, what I elected to do was to just read through my notes a couple of times, and then write. Just write. Just freeform, stream of consciousness as I thought. And that video is a bit rough. It doesn't necessarily get all the points I wanted to get out about Satsuki, especially because it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Like, these videos are just ideas. They're concepts that I have in my brain that I want to get out there. They're not necessarily 100% comprehensive of everything about a character or a route. Except for the maid video, because I covered fucking everything in that script, jeez. But you'll see that in due time. Yeah, it was just a stream of consciousness thing after taking a bunch of notes to make sure I didn't misconstrue any points and to make sure that I didn't miss anything I wanted to say. And that led me to having a lot more fun in the writing process. I really enjoyed making that video. You know, I'm sure it being spur of the moment, just, oh, this would be fun to do, it certainly helped. Like, I'm sure that absolutely played a factor in why I enjoyed making that so much. Why I, in turn, grew to like Satsuki so much. You know, as I put this video up, I plan on making GBA Satsuki my AVI, my profile picture for YouTube. And unless something changes in the near future, that is what it will permanently be from now on. Just GBA Satsuki. That's something that defines the Sleepy Crest channel. Tsukihime on GBA is such a weird concept to me. It's just judging by the ROM judging by what I've delved into so far, it is indeed the entire visual novel just compressed onto a GBA cart. I don't know if they make EverDrives for the Game Boy Advance, but I really want to know so that I can just play it on original hardware and read Tsukihime. But that requires an EverDrive for the Game Boy Advance. That requires me to get a Game Boy Advance in the first place. And most importantly, it requires me to learn Japanese, which has been a process and a half. I've recently rekindled my interest in learning again. Like, I've wrote down pages and pages of hiragana. As of writing this, I think I've gotten to the S sounds, or the S consonants. So I've done just the vowels, I, U, E, O, the K sounds, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, and now I'm on the S sounds. I'm just taking a new one every day and learning it. It's a good process. I'd highly recommend anyone sit down and learn it if you are even vaguely interested. Don't overstress yourself. Don't try to learn everything at once, because you'll just burn out. It is a year-long, if not years-long process that you have to stick to. And I'm only just starting. I hope I do stick with it, because it has been legitimately fun so far. As a matter of fact, the moment I finish recording and editing and uploading this, because I do plan on making it go out today, I am going to get back to my lessons, and then get back to editing the maid video. Oh, the maid video. Speaking of which, writing processes. Because, they've updated since that Satsuki video. Not too terribly much, but they have. For instance, for the Arcade video, I took a ton of notes, the most notes I've ever taken for anything. As a matter of fact, I have, just sitting there, I think I forgot to mention this in the last Sleepy Talk, or Sleepy Time. But another video concept I have is comparing the Tsukihime manga, anime, and visual novel. I already have a comprehensive list of all the comparisons between the manga and the visual novel, like a very comprehensive 50-page list, just full of differences. And I need to convert into a script. See, that's another one where I need to convert it into a script, the notes to a script, because it's not necessarily a stream of consciousness. It's not any type of analysis. It's just a comparison work. I'm sure I'll get into why the manga is better at the end of it, but just blanket statement, it's just a comparison. Because there is a lot of interesting comparisons between why, in some cases, the visual novel works better and why, in some cases, the manga works better. Like, for the action scenes, it's undisputed, the manga just works better because it has more freedom to convey really beautiful action scenes. Roa, with the dead he sends out, which is far more, is actually a very compelling antagonist there, as well as his backstory, of course, getting more fleshed out in really naturalistic ways that are convenient to Arcoid. And surprise, surprise, the backstory isn't just saved for right at the end where it feels like an exposition dump. It's in the middle of the story, very naturally, as told by CL. The manga, it's just perfect. Love that stuff. It ties into the point. I have to have different writing styles for different works. Because if you don't have different writing styles for different works, you're going to get lost in the sauce. So not everything can be an analysis, and not everything can be converting notes to scripts. Because note-taking, it is certainly helpful. It is certainly useful for what it does in terms of getting a defined point across. But I don't think it necessarily makes a very compelling work. Like, if you don't have a strenuous amount of editing, it's not going to come across as any type of fun video. It's just going to be someone listing a bunch of points. As I start making more content, I start appreciating less and less content on this site. And I know that is a very conceited thing to say. And I know my content isn't necessarily even that good. But I look at it, and I look at mine, and I look at what I can do better. So I'm trying to learn from everything I intake. That is what I do in life. I look at it, I look at stuff I see, and then I compare it to my own. And then I ask myself, what can I do better, or why did this impact me? And I try to apply that in my own works, which as I hope has been evident in the works I've put out lately, which has just been 2 of these in a row, because, my god, this video, hour and 47 minutes, absolutely, probably going to be 2 hours. For some reason my mind's telling me an hour and 47 minutes exactly. I don't even know if that's going to be the final estimate. I haven't even finished audio editing yet, which I've recorded 4 hours of audio for this video, which of course that includes the mistakes and everything, but it's still a ton, too much even. But for the Arcoid video proper, to get back to the point, I had a bunch of notes, but I constantly looked back at them, mind you, but I opened up a new Google Doc and I started up an entirely different script. Or an entirely different, script. I just started working on from front to back. And the interesting thing about that is, as I was writing, I started to discover more and more about this route that I liked, more and more that just clicked in my mind. That's why that video turned out to be like 55 minutes long. It's because I kept writing and writing about it, and more of it just clicked in my head. Like, I've been told by a few people that that's their favorite video that I've made, and I can't even down on them. I can't even disagree. I mean, I think it's a very good video, but hopefully I will prove all those people wrong with the video that's going to come out soon-ish. The maid video. Speaking of which, I should probably get to my writing process for that, because it is actually a bit different than everything I've done before. You see, for this video, it was one hell of a fucking writing process. Essentially, I started it out just doing the basic analysis stuff I've been doing for a long time. But then I realized something. I realized that this is not what I want to do. Not for this video. I can do that for other stuff, not for this video. So what I did, I started writing it, introducing it like it was an analysis. Then for every paragraph, for every little point I wanted to make, I got up from my chair and I went outside and walked under the moonlight. Maybe poured a cup of tea or something. And I just walked under the moonlight. Literally under the moonlight, because I write all this shit at 3 a.m. because I am a nocturnal son of a bitch. But just walked around, cleared my mind of all thoughts, really thought about it. Of course, I had taken the notes beforehand. I had taken everything I needed to beforehand, and reading the routes, I took notes, said, oh shit, this stuff kind of hits pretty hard, and I explained why. Like, the notes themselves could probably serve as a decent analysis just because I was very passionate in writing them. But notes are not what I want to make this script about. I want to make it about the maids. I want to make it about analyzing what is great about these two routes. So for every point I wanted to make, I went outside, walked, cleared my head, really thought about the points as much as I could, went back inside, and wrote. And I did this for every part of the video. Every single portion. This script took a while to write. But it all came out very naturalistically. I say at the end of the video that it is the easiest script I've ever had the pleasure of writing, yet at the same time, the most difficult, which both are true. Because halfway through the script, I started having breakdowns. Just writing it. Just getting really interpersonal with what I was doing. Which was fun. It was legitimately fun. But I'm not sure if it's something I can do for every video, just because it killed me. Kills me sometimes. Not all the time. Not every once in a while. It hit bad. I was talking about nightmares earlier in this little podcast thing. But that is essentially what spurred on the nightmares, was my writing process. I might have mentioned that earlier. As a matter of fact, I definitely mentioned that earlier. But it's just due to this writing process of going out, really thinking about each point, thinking about how it applies to me, and then putting it down. Because I did this ad nauseum for a good little bit. Of course, still ended up with some flubs, still ended up with some stuff that I've cut out of the final script proper. But overall, I think I've turned out with a very good script. Maybe not necessarily the same process, but I want to adopt the same philosophy with every video I make from now on. Just in terms of really thinking about the overarching points, thinking about the narrative and everything. So if I can get that across, if I can work a process out like this for every video I make, I think I can make some damn good videos. Watch this video come out, watch this made video come out, and nobody fucking like it. Won't matter, I'll like it. That's what matters. Seltzer water's so fucking good. You guys don't even know how good seltzer water is. Because you're all cowards. You're too afraid to find out about the true goodness of seltzer water. And can downed. Should have got more of that stuff. I'm going to drink that very quickly. And, yeah. Writing processes. Do you guys, to the art lads and laddises in the audience, do any of you guys write or produce art? So if you do, I want to hear your processes. I want to hear how you do things. Because it's always interesting to compare and contrast the ways people do things. Because each person I've talked to and each person I've heard talk about their writing processes, it's always a little different. What actually spurred this process of mine was listening to the Procrastinators podcast, which I like to listen to at work in my free time. So it's just nice to put in the ear and let the day go by. But I was listening to the writing and / editing video. It was interesting to hear all of them compare their thought processes, or how they go about doing things. And I found myself was just a weird fucking hodgepodge of all of them, now that everything's said and done. So I'm interested, if you guys have any writing processes, leave them in the comments below. It's looking like this is going to be a shorter one, and I truthfully don't have anything else to add, and I want to get out a video this week. It's been like 10 days, and I can't just keep not putting content out. I want to be more regular with this stuff. Maybe I'll try to have a short little video out next week that isn't necessarily intensive, but at the same time isn't just another podcast like this. I do like doing these. It is very nice for decompression, getting these thoughts out of my head. But at the same time, I want to make other stuff. I want to make really good stuff that people are going to be impacted by. Mostly just myself, though. To whenever and whatever the next video will be. Bye!